Oi. I've even got it right there. I'm just quickly saving a map so that I can open it nicely on my phone. What's happening at the moment, Nathan, is those lionesses were grooming one another and specifically targeting the ears. As you can imagine, it's a perfect spot for ticks to sort of congregate, and on your own you can't clean your own ears. But when you live in a pride, and lions are very social, which is why they're one of the most successful cats in Africa, is then they'll help one another out. And what better way than to strengthen the bond between the members of a pride as grooming one another? It's like this, maybe giving your brother a massage or plaiting your sister's hair, you know, things like that. That's for them. Playing and grooming one another is very, very important. A pride that has got a good relationship with one another will be more successful at hunting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up this map so that I can show you, just to show you how many different properties. And we've seen how these cats can move. If you have a look here, because they are moving around, but we're not the only ones here, so it's quite nice. It gives us a bit of free reign. If you have a look-see over here, so now you can see, so it's not the biggest map. We are, I needed a piece of grass, but we essentially are up here in Chitwa in the southern sort of corner. Well, we're near the airstrip. And let me zoom in. And so there we go. So that's where we are. So it could have come from Mala Mala. It could have come from Londolozi. It even could have come from Singita or Elephant Plains. There's a lot of things that are changing in the cool, that's awesome. I'm going to put my phone away now. In the Sabi Sands. So many different things happen. I think I might have to get that map printed actually, but a clearer version. That one didn't load properly. I just did it fairly quickly. So they had an Inyala. Not much of a meal, in my opinion. Hi, girl. I'm just going to sit down over there. And they seem very relaxed with the cars. They don't seem to be too bothered whatsoever, so they've obviously had a lot of experience, which makes me think that there are a pride of lions in the Sabi Sand. Some of the areas in Kruger, the cats don't necessarily see lots of vehicles and can be a little bit on the nervy side. However, the cats of the Sabi Sand, my goodness, I don't think you find cats that are any more relaxed than this lot. Now, Matt, not really. This isn't really the Nkuhuma Pride territory. Maybe at one point, however, I don't know when the Nkuhumas were last seen on Chitwa. This is actually the Styx Pride territory. They hang around here the most. The Styx Pride also sort of do every now and then venture into sort of Londolozi. Then they go to Vessels, Annette's, Little Gowrie. They go on to Arethusa. At one point they were in Elephant Plains. And then the Nkuhumas normally hang around on Djuma. They pop into Torchwood, Buffels Hook, Manuleti, and also again sometimes they do also go into Arethusa, but I don't know how often they're going there. And Simbambili is another spot that the Nkuhumas sort of like. So the Torchwood Pride typically hang around on Buffels Hook, Torchwood, and then into the Kruger, also around on Coral. So it's very difficult. There'll be a lot of prides moving in and out, especially if everyone's chasing one another around. You know, there's always an opportunity for, well, spots to open up. Now, Nathan and Paul, both asking very similar questions, basically about why have the lions come to the spot, you know. So it's hard to say. If I knew which pride it was, I'd probably be able to give you a bit more of an accurate answer. But because we don't know and it's still lingering in the air, it is hard to say. Perhaps food availability, that could be one thing. Pressure from another pride, that could be another. Maybe new males coming into the area, and if there's young cubs, they want to move away, kind of like what we did see with the Nkuhumas running about. That could be another thing. So the possibilities are endless, but it is just difficult to say until we can figure out exactly which pride this is. It's really cool though. Hello, you're beautiful, aren't you? She reminds me of the little once floppy-eared lioness of the Nkuhuma Pride, but it's not her. She's got a very scarred up face, but she's got very similar color eyes. So the fashion award. Anyways, we've repositioned. We've come around to where... What are we calling Dylan the other day? Leo Smith Jr. I think we'd given Brent's younger brother that name in camp. And... actually, no, it wasn't. Anyways. Anyway, so we came to where Dylan was watching, and he actually had a good spot. So thank you to Dylan, not that you're watching. And we got some of the sub-adults. So we saw another 4 sub-adults. Craig, stop it now. Babe, I'm going to throw you out these lines. Can't stop laughing. And when Craig laughs, you and David are just as bad. When the two of you start giggling on the back of the car, I can't stop laughing either. It's a problem. Or Manu. Anyways. And basically, I've counted, from what I could see, I think there were 4 lionesses, and I've counted 8 or 9 sub-adults. But I don't know. So... it's so hard to tell in this tall grass. I mean, there could be a whole lot more and I've just missed them. But the youngsters all seem to be between 1.5 years and 2 years. Somewhere around there. I can't be exact, but they look fairly similar in size to the Nkuhuma youngsters. But very cool, though. And you can also see the inyala that they were feasting on. Well, not that there's much left of it. They've eaten the whole thing. This youngster's just using it as, well, a chew toy at the moment. And licking at it. Not really getting any flesh off of it, unfortunately. See, there's another one there. The youngsters weren't as relaxed as the adults are. They're a little bit jumpy with a vehicle. Now, obviously we now can see clearly that the lions do enjoy antelopes of various kinds that we get out here. They're not particularly fussy. Adrian, no, lions won't actively seek out other felines, any other of the big cats, to eat them. They might, if they pick up the scent, seek them out to kill them, to chase them away, because they're in direct competition. Obviously a caracal is not in competition with a lion. But a leopard is, hyenas are, cheetah are, so they'll want to take out the other species, but lions typically don't eat other predators. Hyenas will eat absolutely everything. However, again, you can't say never, because the animals do whatever they want, and in desperate times, you know, they'll break all the rules that we as humans have given them. And I always talk about that, the documentary where there's a male lion that eats a hyena. He was just desperate and so starving, and he came across a sleeping one, and, well, he didn't know if he was going to be presented with another opportunity. So he took it, and he ate it. So that's been documented before. I've never ever seen a lion eating another predator. However, we see leopards eating other leopards. That's been recorded quite a few times. However, when there's food available in the form of a buffalo, in the form of even a daker, which is a small antelope, they will take it. They will take a bird. They will take anything. But a bird for pride of lions is not much fun. Oh, yes, and the leopard with a cheetah. That was quite interesting. And that's also happened down in the Eastern Cape before, where a leopard has killed a cheetah. I think they tried to save it, but sadly, no luck. It was on a small private game reserve. But very cool, though. So, any more suggestions? Can we confirm that this is the Torchwood Pride? It's an exceptionally big pride. I'm not familiar with the prides sort of south from here, so I'm not going to be able to help you much. It's a pity that Tristan didn't come here, because he would have been spot on, because he's just worked in so many of the areas around here, and he's been in the Sabi Sand for such a long time. He's seen lions come and go. Okay, Angie, you have been fabulous, my dear. Thank you very much for all your assistance. You said that one of the Torchwood lionesses has a black scar on her nose. We did see a lioness that had quite bad scarring. Not a scar as like a scratch, but almost like a patch of black skin above her nose. So if that's an identifying feature of one of the lionesses, I've never seen that before. I think that you're right then in saying that this is the Torchwood Pride, and you've said that majority of them have sort of got that amber sort of coloured eyes, not to the extent of our beautiful amber-eyed girl, the Nkuhuma Pride. She's like almost got a tinge of orange to them. They're so gorgeous. These are a bit more sort of brown. So there we go, and it would make sense. There's enough lions here to be the Torchwood Pride. Looking back, you guys are really cool. I like that one. No, which one did I say I like, Craig? The other one that's now eating the carcass. This one. This is my favorite lion of the Torchwood Pride. I've just decided. It is so cute and cheeky. It was playing with a stick as well. It was really curious by a stick, and just caught my attention. So I like that one. Whoever you are, however old you are, you look like a girl. You could be a female. Fisa, the way that we get to know the different prides of lions, we started to distinguish between them, is because lions have territories. I mean, lionesses typically have more of a home range. However, they will have a core territory. They will have an area that they tend to stick to most. And they can branch out. It just depends on, again, food availability and water. So if there's no food in the area, they're going to push out, and they may put pressure on another pride, or another pride may put pressure on them. So by seeing a certain group of lions in an area consistently, you can kind of work them out. And like I was saying earlier, is you sit and you look at them and you get to know them. Like what Angie's just said. She said one of the Torchwood lionesses has got black scarring on her nose. And I've seen it. We'll try and reverse out of here, but we'll do that when we're off air, because it's a bit of a nightmare with the roof to get through all the thickets. So we'll do that next time. We'll go around. So that's how we sort of get to know them. And then you can use a spot pattern, whisker pattern. And otherwise, eye color, nicks and ears. Like, for instance, my favorite example is the floppy-eared lioness of the Nkuhuma Pride, who's got no floppy ear anymore. Sadly, she's had a tough start to her life. She had a bit of white muscle disease. Then she had mange. And because of the mange, her ear became quite swollen and flopped, which was quite cute. Maybe somebody can share a picture of floppy ear when she had her floppy ear. And then I just worked out that that was her. And we also loved her because of her spunky personality. She's a feisty girl, that one. So yeah, that's how we do it. We get to learn. Every animal has got a different personality too. So you can start to pick that up if you spend enough time with them. Now, obviously we're talking about these lions being sub-adults. Caitlin, I would say at about a year old. They're typically more sub-adults than anything. They're not suckling anymore, although if they're younger cubs within the pride, you might find some of the older lions trying to sneak a suckle, but they normally get reprimanded quite quickly. So at about a year, and we normally start referring to them, or just over a year, as sub-adults. They normally stop suckling at about 6-7 months old. Like I said, it just depends on the dynamics of the pride. Sometimes it can change. Oh, here we go. We've got another sub-adult coming on in. This one's got more yellow eyes in comparison. Oh, I'm not very happy about having a carcass taken away from it. Just having a licking in between the vertebrae at the moment, trying to get any morsel of flesh. Hello. If you guys go around, you'll see there's another group of them that are laying out in the open, which might also be nice if you want. Cool. If it's not a great view here. Cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you just go behind my car, you'll see there's maybe like 50 meters. There's actually where they're laying, and it's flat. And you might get a nice better view, and I'll rotate with you. Cool. Pleasure. There we go. Just helping, because it's so, like we said, it's so thick here at the moment. I mean, you could drive right past and not even realize that there's a pride of lions here. So there's just another guy that came in, and where we are, we're in a very awkward spot. We've got the only gap to view this group of lions, but luckily they are very spread out and in the open. So there is an opportunity for the other guy to go behind me, and then his guest can have a great view too. And then, well, I'm sure everybody wants to see a lion gnawing on some bones. So we'll quite happily, move out and rotate and swap around as well. But it is difficult to navigate in here. It is so thick. Lots of monkey oranges, lots of bush willows, and we even found it difficult with our small vehicles, but the roof is a bit of a hindrance today. Right, let's go across to James. I wonder if he's going to show you any new items of clothing. James, we've come to the conclusion that this is the Torchwood Pride, because I found a picture of that lioness that has the smudge, if you will, on top of her nose. and it was definitely one of the lionesses that we got to see. So that is who we are looking at. It's the Torchwood Pride, and the crowd goes wild. Thank you, Angie. Thank you, girl. Thank you for all your support and help today. We really do appreciate it. Well, our lions are very, very sleepy now, filled with inyala belly. And I have a crisis on my hands at the moment. I'm very stressed out. I found my pen that Tristan found on safari. I've now lost it since finding it, which is very upsetting. And then I can't find any of my other pens that I thought I had in my room. I don't know which suitcase they're in, so that's what I'll be doing tonight, just trying to find a pen. Anyways, woe is me. But here we are. We're not going to be able to stay with these cats for too much longer, unfortunately. We've got very, very limited views of them, as you can see, and also there are other people that want to come and see them. Now, something that I've noticed from Lamara, from Zambia, and of course from South Africa, and in the greater Kruger area, Nikki, the wind just took that name straight off of, there we go. I'll get to where I was going with that. Now, I was trying to just weave this into conversation, and then I went and forgot Gabrielle's name. Sorry, Gabrielle. So Gabrielle is going to answer your question then. What I've seen is that typically 4 to 5 females seem to be a common number within a pride, and then of course they have the youngsters as well. And if every lioness has, 3, very quickly that a pride with 4 or 5 lionesses can have, 15 cubs easily. Did I do that math right? Yeah, somewhere around there. So I would say about maybe 10 cubs. Let's go with that. So you can have big prides, but remember that because they are youngsters in the pride, unfortunately the success rate of youngsters is not particularly good. And so that number can change quite quickly. So typically 4 or 5 lionesses being sort of the, what am I trying to say here? I don't know where my words are going today. Anyways, they're the ones that are holding down the fort, really. Off we go. Just disappearing behind some bushes. I can hear another car coming to the sighting, so we are going to have to move away. Okay. Now we need to try and get out of here. Dale, I'll answer your question as I try and get out of the sighting, which is going to be so much fun. We can only have 2 vehicles here, I'm afraid. There's a little gap. Might have to do a little... Let's not tear the canvas now. So, let me quickly go under here. Dale, I can't say that I think the coloration is any different to the Nkuhumas. Perhaps it's just the light today. Sticks flying. Exciting. Our aerial just dropped down, sorry, as of course you can imagine. We went underneath all those trees. We'll chat a little bit more about that. I just wanted to move out so the other car could enter in peace. Off we go to somebody that has something that these lions ate.
Well, it is a good thing that I'm chuffed with just being back and driving around, because that's all I've achieved today. Oh, we did see a scrub hare, I suppose. But I am chuffed to be back and driving around, Juma. I shall be more chuffed to be on foot tomorrow morning with the great Herberto, and of course the Graham Wiem Dorenbrak and his enormous thumbs. Wiem, do you think that that is some form of evolutionary advantage that you have? Is yours super opposable? No. Yes, I can't see why they should be big either. Hang on, I think I saw something. Whether it is of any interest to anybody, I'm not sure, but let's have a look. It's a white thing, Liam. What is it? Oh, beautiful. Oh, it's a piece of bark covered in lichen that then fell down onto a bush. Isn't that fascinating, Liam? Do you see the interesting trapezoidal shape that it has made in its plummet from the knobthorn on which it was born? Wonderful. Fantastic. Different colours, of course, when you take the light on and off it. And, of course, let us not forget the wonderful welding work of Opar, who made this beautiful stand here. Connor and Opar, thank you. A tribute to you and the pole that you constructed. Steve, you say, did I miss you? Well, Steve, not you specifically. I mean, I find, Steve, that I'm not sure I missed you specifically. By us, are you referring to the royal we? Do you refer to yourself in the plural? I did miss certainly our interactions, and I mean that about Steve, of course, and all of the other viewers. I did miss that very much. I missed being in front of a lens, frankly. I mean, I had a wonderful time in the Mara, make no mistake. I really had a very good time indeed. We shot some nice videos, which we'll show you a little bit later. Well, once they're finished being edited. And David and I did a lot of training together. And I looked after the camp, sort of, which was great. But Steve, I did miss you. Don't mistake me for... I just don't want everyone else to feel like I only missed you, Steve, in case you were using us in the royal manner. Siri is now talking to me again. Thank you, Siri.
Help you find a hotel if you turn on location services. Go to privacy settings, select location services, scroll to Syrian dictation and allow location access.
Wonderful. She says she can help me find a hotel. Isn't that very nice? Thank you. Now shut up. She says that's not very nice. That's bizarre. I'm not really sure why she thinks I need a hotel. We're not that far from camp. Anyway. Yes, Steve, I missed you. Horribly. Melissa, thank you very much. You and many others say you missed my sarcasm. Well, I fear me you'll be in a minority. I've caused untold offence, unintentionally, with my sarcasm over the years, especially with poor guests who happened to get me as their guide when they arrived for their once-in-a-lifetime African safari. And they didn't quite get my sort of sense of humour. Anyway, you know, sarcasm never killed anyone, I suppose. Is our signal all right here, Nicola? Ooh, that's a nasty piece of road. Okay. Thank you, Eleanor. I don't know when the voting ends, but you say that we're winning 2 of the categories in the Webbies. That's marvellous. It ends on the 19th, right. Okay, so keep voting. That's fantastic. Do you think that means we all get to go to a red carpet event in Los Angeles with a lot of celebrities? I'll wear my kilt. VM, what will you wear? You'll wear your uniform, of course. That's all you wear. Yes. Him will wear his Wild Earth uniform and your walking shoes, but we might have to polish those for you. I'll polish them for you. Yes. I wouldn't have you pitching up on the red carpet opposite Jennifer Lawrence in a pair of grubby K-way walking shoes, could we? Well, I think she might. You want to leave a good impression with Jennifer Lawrence, don't you, Vim? Oh, Nikki says, what happened to Scarlett Johansson? I was thinking of Vim, Nicola. I was thinking, you know, of his needs, not just my own. If anybody looks sideways at Scarlett, they'll be in very big trouble. Sure. My shoes will be polished to a sheen in preparation for our meeting. Yes. I'm sorry. I seem to have killed any chance of ecological questions with this ridiculous conversation. Anyway, let's keep going, see what we can find around here. I've dreamt of going to something like the Emmys or Oscars. The Webbies would do, I think, I imagine. Ah, Paula, you say if I could have a superpower on Drive, what would it be? I think the ability to eat leaves, because I get a bit peckish when I drive around here. It'd be quite nice to sort of be able to snack on leaves. That would be a poor superpower, though. It's not very exciting. Nikki says, is that a superpower? Well, it is if you're a human being. I think I would like to be able to fly, so that I could go and look around what there was and then come back, of course, and drive the car to where it was, like a sort of human spotting device from the air. Not controlled by Sebastian Romby, but by my own superpower. So yes, I would like to be able to fly. I would like to be able to fly regardless of whether it was for game drive or otherwise. Liam, your superpower? VM would like to be able to transform himself into a leopard so that he could sell his services. Now that is very clever. You would become much richer. Whereas I would just fly around like a fairy. You would be able to have a business opportunity from your superpower. That's very clever, VM. I wish I'd thought of that. Gosh, it was very wet around here, I must say. This muddy road. Okay, let's head across to Tristan and you can ask him what superpower he would like on Game Drive.
Well, if you're going to sell your services, I've got a red light for you to hang on your door should you want to sell your services as a leopard, and maybe that will be your calling card. In terms of a superpower for me, Fergus, let's start with you in the back. Fergus says I'm not allowed to pass the buck. Come on, Fergus, you've got to indulge in our game and see what you want. I think I would like maybe the ability to try or teleport, just because then when I hear things like Impala's alarm calling, I can just teleport right there and I'll see things as and when. Maybe that's all. Or I would have a situation where I could pick up any sort of friction via my eyes, which means that any animal that walks anywhere, I'd be able to see their friction tracks walking around, and so almost like a thermal eye, basically. That I can be a thermal kind of thermal boy. What about that, Fergus? Sponsored by Fleur. Yes, maybe. What about you, Ferg? So Ferg wants to be Dr. Dolittle, effectively. He wants to be able to talk to the animals and understand what they say. What do you want? Fair enough. So Fergus says as if his squirrels in particular, I would imagine, Ferg, start shouting. He can ask them what is their problem and what do they want and why are they shouting, and point us in the right direction and tell us if it's anything we need to worry about. So that's not a bad idea, Fergus. Nikki, what is yours? Because Nikki's being very quiet. She's not saying anything in FC, so we need to find out from Nikki what her superpower would be. That's okay, Nikki. You usually go on Game Drive sometimes. What would you back out? Yeah, what would your superpower be in FC if you had one? There we go. Then if you're not on Game Drive, then in FC, what would your superpower want to be? Now I'm not getting an answer. Nikki? Power of silence, yes, Fergus, that's what's... So apparently Osti is getting shy. Osti, are you blushing? Fair enough. That's a nice superpower to have. So Nikki wants a superpower. Animals, particularly the birds, do not fly away every time she links to that particular feed, and that all the animals go and pose somewhere nice when she links to them, so that she doesn't link and there's just grass or a bush or a tail or something like that that is just disappearing out of frame. That's a fair enough link, I think. Nix, maybe you need this, what was it? You can see into the future, Fergus? Power of dictatorship. No, dictatorship. Directors have FC. Now, I believe my signal is a bit unstable, so let's send you across to Taylor and find out what her superpower would be.
Well, here we are in the same situation. I suppose me just driving around doing this with my flashlight. I've been thinking of what songs I'm going to get stuck into people's heads so they have no choice but to join in on karaoke tonight. So I've been finding some corker, some old school Nelly, yeah, Snoop Dogg. You guys are in for a treat tonight. Let me tell you, we're going to go R&B style because, you know, those are the greatest ones to karaoke to. Anyways, my superpower, I think you all know by now, is that I just want to talk to animals. Now, I want to talk to animals because I think it would help me with safari. Also, I just think it would be really amazing. But can you imagine if someone's really annoying you, you can just whisper to that hornbill and be like, they are grating my carrot today. Can you just go and, offload something on top of their head? I think that would be really funny. Have a bird fly over the top of you and poop on your head. That would be cool. That would be one of the things. Or I'd get the squirrels in to sneak into people's rooms and then hide things from them. That could also be quite fun. I don't know. I just want to be able to communicate with the animals. That's all really.
Well, Taylor is 2-0 at the moment, so Taylor loves these guys and has been wanting to see one for a while, and this is the second one I think we've had this week, so we are going to start having to tally this up at some point, Taylor, and have a competition by, let's say we'll give it another week and see who actually has the most by the end of the next week. But it's very cool to find another chameleon, so even though we haven't found ourselves a leopard, we did find a camouflaged animal sitting here. Now, while I was kind of sitting here listening to the conversation that Taylor was having and asking Craig as to what superpower he would like, I think that the superpower that maybe the whole staff would like Craig to have is the power to speak to us as people and not just give us that and not very much else that Craig does normally give us. So if Craig can get the power of speech, that would be pretty useful for the rest of us, that's for sure. Anyway, our Philapnic chameleon is sitting tight and is kind of all tucked up and has got its kind of legs tucked up, tails tucked up, probably trying to stay a little warm. It's a fairly cool day today. It's not been very easy for a lot of our reptilian animals that are cold-blooded, and so I'm pretty sure that this little guy is just trying to stay as warm as possible. Not that it's that little. It's about a sort of medium-sized one. It's not massive, but it's not small either. And you can see how that eye is moving. I'm trying not to shine the light on it too much. Unfortunately, our infrared is not working very well, and so we've got a situation where we've got to use the light. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to show it to you. So I'm trying to shine kind of on the ground and just use the periphery. So I do apologize if the light kind of goes in and out a little bit. We just don't want to shine in our chameleon's face too much. But you can see that it's got the most amazing camouflage. When you kind of look at it from this sort of area, you can see the branches match the same sort of browns that it's got on it, and then those greens are not far off at all. It's pretty similar green coloration that it's got. So the camouflage on these guys is just absolutely unbelievable, and watching its eye move around is also fascinating. You can see how that eye has pretty much got a full sort of 360-degree sort of movement within the eye socket itself, but obviously the head blocks a little bit of the sort of view that they've got, but they can still kind of see pretty much forward, back, above, below, and so they see things coming from anywhere, and that's important because obviously they're a predator of insects and they're a camouflage predator, so they can't move too much, and so if the eye can move, then they are able to see what's coming and be able to grab all kinds of different things. And once again, I've forgotten my UV light. It is in my other bag, which is not in this car. I wasn't actually even supposed to be on drive this afternoon. I was supposed to be on walk, so I had to scramble at the last minute quickly when the rain kind of was starting to rather just get into a car. So I don't have my UV light with me, unfortunately. So, Carla, I agree, exactly. I think it's time to do flick-flacks down the road and then a somersault, because we found ourselves an animal for the afternoon. It's been a dry, difficult day, but it's okay. You need days like this to appreciate the good days. And like I say, as much as it can be frustrating, it's still nice to be out. It's better to be out here than sitting behind a desk. Well, for me anyway. I know some people love being behind a desk, but for me, it's better to be out here and having a quiet day than having a really good day in traffic and behind a desk. So can't complain too much. And we've seen a chameleon, which is always very, very cool. So, you know, there's things to be grateful for. Eloise, most of the chameleons in the winter will estivate, which basically means that they actually kind of bury themselves in little caves. So they'll dig out an area and then they go inside there and they sit in there. And that's because they want to stay out of the cold. And generally, if they can dig down, land loses heat and retains heat much better than being above the ground. So they try to get in underneath things and into small little areas where they can hide, and then they'll come out in the sort of summer months. But they sometimes will find them. I've seen 1 or 2 chameleons even in the middle of winter, which is quite strange, on bushes, but it's not common to see that at all. Most of the time they try and hide away, like I say, into sort of little underground burrows and termite mounds and those kind of things where they can stay warm and sort of wait for the winter months to pass. So these will be one of the last few chameleons we're going to start seeing, because it's going to start cooling off very quickly. So, Carol, how we find it is by our lights, basically. So as we were driving along, if Ferg zooms out for you, you'll get an idea of what it looks like in the bush itself. Now, I know there's a pole there, so I do apologize. But basically, as you shine your light, so I know it's going to be quite dark now, there's a side light. But as you come along, you see how that chameleon just shows up a little brighter than what the tree itself does. So you just pick up that slight change in the tree's kind of brightness, and that's how you spot them. But if I had to show, if you see the light like that, very difficult to see. But as I come across, you can see it's slightly brighter than the trees or the leaves around it. And so that's how you can pick them up. If I keep the light on it for a long period, it'll adjust its coloration and be a little bit kind of more matched to the greens. So generally when you first spot them, because it's dark, they don't quite have their colors right, and they generally are a lot brighter than the leaves themselves. And that's how you end up with a situation where you can spot them. But it takes a bit of practice, and there's a lot of people that can't spot them, and it takes them a while to kind of learn how to do it. But once you've got the... Well, Taylor, yes. Don't be nasty, Ferg. So, Alarama, they both really, you'll find them moving around during the day, often crossing roads during the day. And then at night they are out and about, because a lot of insect activity happens at night. So you find that at night they don't have to hide as much because they're not preyed upon as much. So they actually probably, their peak activity is more nocturnal than it is diurnal, but they are fairly active in the day as well. The reason why they hide a lot in the day is because of things like bush shrike and boomslangs, which is a type of snake. They go after them and try and kill them, and so they prefer to come out at night to be able to hunt on the edge of the trees. So Lady Starfire, the orange spots on this chameleon are not scar tissue. That's just it trying to camouflage itself within this branch. So it's on a branch where there's a few browns and kind of dried leaves amongst it. So it's just trying to break up that green with bits of brown. What you'll find is normally those spots are white. And actually, if you took that chameleon off of that tree and probably put it just on a plain surface, those spots will change to a white coloration rather than that brown. So they do change and have these little brown spots on them sometimes when they're on trees like this, like I say, that have got a few dead leaves. And you can see, if you look towards its nose and then going forward from there, there is a few kind of brownish colored leaves. So it's all just to try and blend in as much as possible. Now, I don't want to shine our lights at our chameleon much more. I obviously don't want to blind it in any way, and we've had a good look at it. So I think we're going to leave it to itself and carry on. Oh, there's a hyena calling. Let's listen to that quickly. Bit windy, unfortunately, and that hyena is also moving seriously quickly, because it was calling quite close and then all of a sudden it just started and kind of ran away. So we'll try and find another hyena that we can listen to. But that was cool. Very, very nice to have a chameleon it's always good to see them, and they were lots of summer, but they seem to be coming back now in the last few days. Maybe we'll try and see if we can find another one. Taylor's, I'm sure, not very impressed at all, because I know she's been dying to see a chameleon, and so hopefully we'll find one. It's never nice when you really want to see something and then you struggle to find it. It can get quite frustrating at times, so hopefully Taylor will be able to find one this evening. Right, let's send you off to James and see what he's been up to over the last little bit.
I started my career as a scuba diving instructor, and I was lucky enough to travel all around the world diving in the most spectacular locations. And now we're going back to my roots. Our new mission is to take you live underwater scuba diving. What we're going to do is we're going to have a marine biologist underwater with a full face mask so that they can answer your questions and talk to you in real time.
Lynn on Twitter, it's awesome to have you with us. It is incredible for me as well.
You'll be able to sit in your living room at home and ask a question about the underwater world to somebody who's under the ocean on the other side of the planet.
To be able to be live from underwater is magical. On the one Moorish island, you'll see a small cleaner wrasse that is actually cleaning little parasites off of that Moorish island.
We are developing a system that will allow us to talk underwater, for you to be able to hear us clearly. It's a real challenge. It's never been done before properly. We're coming along really well.
Leopard moray eel, look at that.
The next thing to do is to get a team out, to get a boat, to set up camp, and to start getting it all up and running. The incredible diversity of fish and coral will blow your mind. DiveLive is the way we're going to get everybody in the world the opportunity to connect with nature. This is our mission.
There's a quote from Jane Goodall, and that is, "Only if we understand will we care. Only if we care will we help. And only if we help will all be saved."
We are a community from all over the world that get together a couple of times a day to share our passion and love of nature. Can you believe it?
We broadcast Safari Live into schools around the world, which enables the future custodians of our planet, the students, to fall in love with nature.
That whole Safari Live video just inspired me to fulfill my dream of becoming a safari guide as well.
If you pledge to this DiveLive project and come on this mission with us, you'll be able to be there for the first month, which will be a private access experience where you can help us develop DiveLive into being what we believe it can be. But then also, you'll be able to join us virtually on our premiere party after our first public broadcast.
So join us in testing the technology, finding the experts, and setting up camp.
This is such a great opportunity for us to make a difference. We can get people all around the world to fall in love with our oceans. And that's such an important thing to do. Come along with us. It's our mission, make it yours, and we can make a real difference.